Hey guys, I'm your host Smitha and welcome to Journey Podcast, your weekly podcast on transformational journeys. Hello everyone, I have Anamika Dutta today with me. Anamika is an alumna of University of Mumbai. She holds a master's degree in mass communications and journalism and currently is in the path of pursuing PhD in the same field. Anamika is an angel investor of women entrepreneurs. She closely works and associates involved with several humanitarian movements in India. She currently resides in Mumbai, India, but often travels to satisfy her wanderlust. Anamika is also a writer and spoken word artist. Her podcast is called Spoken Word by Anamika, and it is available in Spotify and podcast. Anamika, I'm going to leave this floor to you, and I want you to introduce yourself. Thank you so much for accepting the call first. Please go ahead.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. And I do want to mention what you're doing is absolutely incredible and it's so powerful. And I understand where you're coming from because it has been a huge part of my journey when as even a writer, even as a spoken word artist, even what I'm doing right now. Because this whole experience of going through trauma and going through narcissistic abuse kind of brought the whole writer in me, and I have emerged to just help others and educate others so that nobody goes through what I've been through. Because I now have insight that I have gained from my last relationship, and I think it's so important to share that with everyone so that nobody is manipulated to such extent where they kind of lose themselves and lose their self-esteem completely. So currently I'm just writing and I did a lot of, turning my pain into poetry. And I'm also doing this PhD thing, which is very difficult and it's a lot of work, but I'm on it. And I'm also freelance and I'm also working as a freelance writer. So it's just, it's a way of expressing myself. That's what I'm doing at the moment. And I think it keeps me busy and it keeps me, away from all of those traumatic experiences and thoughts and nightmares. So I highly encourage others to pursue their passion, their hobbies, or anything that they like to do so that they can get out of that kind of, state they were in. But I want to talk about my last relationship, which kind of left me clueless, which left me I don't know how to explain this. I was just in a state when I came out of that relationship, I was just not even myself. Probably not the wisest decision I made. I met him on a dating app, and he travels a lot. And when we matched on the dating app. He was somewhere in Africa. He was like 16,000 miles away, and I was kind of surprised to see him kind of pop up. I thought it was kind of a glitch. But the thing with me is, I was 25. It was 2 years ago, but I never really connect with boys my age. I think that I'm an old soul, and I'm always attracted to men who can teach me things. I can learn from and I can grow with. And I'm not the kind of person who likes small talks. I like to have, talks about, I say,
Yeah.
deep talks,
Yes.
about world politics or something.
Okay.
So this man seemed very charming, and I was impressed because his travel pictures and his history and the field that he's in is in a big position for an institution. So when we matched and I started talking to him, I felt like I was waiting for him. He was the perfect man, and he made me feel like I was his dream girl because he would tell me things like he has traveled all around the world, and I'm the one he could connect with, and I was his perfect girl. And I guess I was just young and naive, and I believed in him, and I thought, oh, this is probably true. This man, he's middle aged. He was 40 years old when I met him, and I was so happy because I was falling, but he was the first one to say I love you, and he was the first one to say I do want to, we're going to be together because I see us together, and I just believed in him because I don't know, was just me being naive, or I just wanted to believe in him so bad. But he was everything I look for in a man. And that's how this whole thing started.
If I
And
can
he,
ask, like, I mean, what kind of an attachment that you have with your family? Does your family know about this? Or did they play any part in having you going out with this guy that you doesn't even know in person? You met him through a dating app.
yeah,
He's not even in the area that you are. You never
yeah,
met him until it was like an actual date that you wanted to go for him. So
yes.
what was your family involvement at that point?
Yeah, so I'm quite blessed that way because my family, we're a nuclear family. I just have my mom and dad and my grandparents, and all of them, they're very supportive and they're very liberating. And I have been living alone all by myself for almost 6 years now. I mean, I left home, and they're very supportive, and they always let me take my own decisions. They never involve themselves where, you know, in terms of relationships or whom I'm going out with. I mean, they're always there for me if anything goes wrong. And a couple of times things have gone wrong and they were there for me, but they're not those people who would stop me from doing anything. So my parents would just want to see me happy, and it doesn't matter to them whom I'm going out with, how I met. And they don't really ask that many questions. The only thing they would ask me if I ever start talking about a boy or anyone, they're just gonna ask me, "Are you happy? Does he make you
Right.
happy?"
Right.
That's
So
all.
you
That's their involvement.
what you actually sharing about this information are like this connection with this guy from the beginning that you met him, or like it was a bit into your conversations with him and then you started feeling these things and then you went and spoke about it to your parents?
So when he came in India, and obviously we were spending a lot of time together. At that time, my parents didn't know me. I mean, my mom could obviously tell that there's probably someone special in her life because moms always know,
Yeah.
but she didn't clearly know. But soon, because I was supposed to travel to Japan to see him.
Mm.
So we were in a long distance relationship. It was an interracial long distance relationship. It wasn't my first time, and my parents don't really mind like whom I'm dating. They're not they're not very, I wouldn't say they're conventional. So my mom got to know after say 2 to 3 months
Mm.
in, because I was supposed to travel to Japan, so I had to tell that, um, I think there's a potential, probably a candidate here. So yeah, that's how my mom got to know, and she was just like, if you're happy, we're happy. So that's
Mm.
all.
Mm. So you are mentioning that you traveled to Japan for him.
Mhm.
Before that, you met him only once in India, or like was there any other encounters with him, meeting him in person, understanding him to a level where you feel like, okay, I have this real connection with him? Apart from the phone call, do you have any actual interactions with him?
Yeah, when he was in India for almost 8 weeks, so 2 months.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So we were together pretty much the whole time, and he went back to his own country for a month. Then he was supposed to travel to Japan, and I was supposed to go and see him. So that happened within another 3 weeks or so. So we were apart. So we met in India. We were together for 8 weeks. Then 3 or 4 weeks apart. Then we were together in Japan, and that's how basically that was the relationship. So he would go back. I would be here in India or traveling somewhere because I also travel a lot, and then we would meet in different countries, like within 3 to 4 weeks. The longest we've gone without meeting, I think it's probably 6 weeks or so. Yeah.
So when you met in other places, before Japan or like after that?
After, first was Japan, then we planned a trip for my birthday to Turkey. Then we were in Turkey. Then we were in Spain. Because I was traveling in Europe, so he was in Spain, and I went to see him in Spain. Um, then Oman. It's all just traveling, like that. Yeah.
So when you are meeting in all different places, like what was your experience with him? Was there any like red flags that you could relate to. You might not understand at that point of time for sure, but afterwards, when you actually like thought about it, was there any red flags that you might have felt like, hey man, that was a red flag, but I did not really like felt it at that point of time, being that young person, or like as you mentioned, like being in love and naive. You
Yeah.
don't want to think certain things in your life sometimes. So was there any encounters like that?
Yes. So even when he was in India, uh, the first thing, that first kind of red flag, I didn't think of it as a red flag until way later. I mean, we kind of, so I, during this whole pandemic situation, I hired a life coach,
Mm,
and I went to her and I had to text her, email her our whole WhatsApp conversation.
mm,
And those were the kind of, we got to know a little bit about him, a lot about him, the kind of person he is. But when those things were happening to me, I didn't really think those things were red flags, even though my friends were always kind of like, this seems wrong. So the first one was him not mentioning anything about us on social media. And he's the kind of person who was very active on social media.
mm,
And it was not like he wasn't active or he was not using Instagram or anything. There were a couple of times, I mean, he would ask me to take his pictures for Instagram, and he would just never mention anything about us. And that kind of seemed a little odd to me. And this is, I mean, my friends were like, if he's not showing you off, there might be something wrong. And he gave me like bizarre reasons that made no sense at all. Like, I'm not even active on social media. I want to delete everything. I don't want to give other people a window to my personal life, which I understood. But I mean, you were giving a window to your personal life to everyone else because you're always online and you're putting everything online. So I didn't understand it was kind of contradictory. So I was confused. So I kind of asked him directly, like, what's happening? Do you have like a side chick or something? And he was like, oh, that's very insulting that you would think
mm,
like that. But there was no clear answer.
mm,
There's no clear answer why you wouldn't post a picture of us together. There was just like, I think it's very insulting that you think like that. It's not like that. I'm not active. That's what he said to me. So that was the India situation. And when, well, the big story comes in Japan. It was, I I noticed a notification on his phone when he was out, and I was not even kind of, I'm not the kind of person who snoops around or
gotcha.
or anything of that sort. But the notification was just so, I don't know how to say it. It was so crazy because someone wrote like, "You don't understand. I can't come, and I love you. I miss you, XOXO." And I was like, okay, maybe it's just a friend. Who is this person? And yeah, so when I saw that and I discovered more from it, I realized he was flirting with other women online. He was sending explicit
Did you ask
content.
him when you saw the text message, or like how did you understand there is more than
Yeah,
what?
so he had two phones. One was his work phone, and he left his work phone. And I woke up and I went to have my breakfast, and it was kept on the table, and it was just kind of vibrating because those messages were coming in. And I glanced at it, and I remembered that he told me, he was the one who told me once, I have got nothing to hide, and he told me his passcode for his work phone, because I'm like, this is the only thing I know. So I entered his passcode and just kind of opened up, and I saw those texts, and I was absolutely devastated seeing that. And when he came back, I told him, I saw those notifications and I opened your phone. And I don't want you to explain to it. I cried, and I told him, if you're not ready for a relationship, why did you do this? Why are you doing this? If you can just tell me. I would have been okay with it, but there's only thing that I don't like is lying and pretending. And he he said, no, I don't understand what you've seen. This is not what you misinterpreting the whole situation. I love you. I love the layers to your personality. I do want to marry you. This
Mm.
the his exact words. I
Good.
do want to have kids with you. I cried. My exact words were like, I'm not these girls.
Mm.
Please don't make me one of these girls. If you're not serious, please tell me. I don't mind walking away. I don't mind breaking up. I'm okay with it. But
Mm.
he convinced me that those were nothing, and I believed in him that he could change.
Mm.
And turns out that was my biggest mistake because these people do not change. He just got better at lying. And after that, when that happened, I completely gave him the benefit of doubt.
Mm.
I know what I had seen, but still,
Good.
obviously, I loved that man. I really did, and I wanted him to kind of come back around and just, be honest to me, even if he was like that. And I would ask him so many times, "Do you want an open relationship? If that's what you're looking for, is this a problem because we're in a long distance relationship? Do you get lonely? Who are these people?" Never quite clear answers, never open communications,
When you
always avoiding confrontations.
when you talk about like yes, do you want an open relationship? What if he told you the truth? Yes, like when I have relationship with other ladies or like I'm flirting with other people. What kind of a thought process you have to ask that question? And if he says like yes, I have it, so I might be like yeah, seeing other women with you as well. Would you accept that kind of a relationship?
No, no, that was actually the key. And we found out this during our life coaching session, that the reason I would always say things like, if that's what you want, I'm not the girl for you.
Mm.
And I mentioned it a couple of times. So he realized that if he wants to keep me, he has to say no to these things because I was not open to that.
Mm.
If there was a part of me was like, I love you so much, I'm ready to accept it. But no, I was not ready to accept it. I think I'm worth more than that, especially when I'm giving you so much of myself. I deserve the same. But he was always the kind of person who'd say like, I would mention, I'm not okay with it. And he would say, no, what are you saying? You're just always bringing up the past. You want to talk about the future. But how can we talk about the future when we're not even clear about the past? When
Mm.
I don't even understand what's happening with you?
Mm.
And, there have been instances he made a fool of me. He would lie to me on my face. The craziest thing was he was in Mexico and he was out partying. I'm never the kind of person. I'm not a very, I would be like, don't go out, don't do this, don't do that. I'm not controlling at all.
Mm.
And I don't understand why he needed to lie to me, but he was, I mean, unless there was something to lie about, he was in Mexico and he was partying all night. I could see it because he was in Mexico and I'm here in India, so it was my daytime. He was there, and I could see on Instagram his friends were tagging him, posting pictures of him, and those were all coming on my explore page because he was obviously we follow each other. And he texted me like, "Hey babe, I just wanted to text you. I just woke up to pee. How are you doing?" When I could literally see him partying and dancing with other friends, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't say anything. This was like the time I'm like, I can't let this man control my
Let me
mind anymore.
one more question. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you mentioned like yes, you have to be the only person in his life, and you are not okay to have any open relationship on any of it. Let's just say like he might have told you okay what's going on with his life at that point of time. Like he might have multiple people, or like there is another girl with you at the same time. What if he has told you like okay, I'm ready to give up all those things and I'll be only with you, and I'm kind of like yeah coming out myself, I'm confessing with you saying like yes, I have these relationships, but I'm sorry for hurting you like this, I'm going to leave all those things and stay with you. Would you actually believe that kind of a person and stay with him?
I believed him. When he was in Japan, he said the same thing to me, and I believed him. He said that I don't know what you've seen, but I don't. His words, quote unquote, I haven't met these women. I haven't cheated on you, but I saw him flirting with other women when he was meeting me after a month. That was the thing that hurt me the most. At least wait until I'm out of the apartment. I was meeting you after a month and I was so excited.
The question I
So,
have is like, what if he accepts that he's having that?
yeah.
I've been doing it. I'm sorry, it was by mistake or whatever that explanation that he can give. And then come back to tell you like, okay, we'll be together. Let me leave all those things. So would you be okay with it? Because that at that point of time, it is like his past. He's not continuing it. It's not going to be there in your future.
Yes. The thing is, I loved him. I would have, if that is the only thing I was gonna say. I believe giving people second chances. People make mistakes. It's very much possible. And, there's a difference. I do understand a physical love is different, and the kind of connection you have, that is different. A lot of people can have physical relationship with other people, but still be in love with someone else. That's very much possible. But the only thing that was lacking in the relationship was respect for me. He was not respecting my boundaries, and it's not like I would give him chances again and again. One time, if he was honest with me and if he would have said like, you know what, I'm sorry, but I really care for you, I really love you, and I want to make this work, and I wanted to see that effort and him being honest to me and him respecting me, I would have definitely given him another chance. And I did that. I mean, obviously I saw what I saw, but I believed that he would change and he would respect me, but he just kept lying to me even more than ever. So, I mean, that doesn't work. I have more self-worth.
So you were mentioning like, okay, a person can have a real connection with one person, but can happen with another person, like a physical relationship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Once he told you like, yes, I did a mistake and I'm going to be with you for whatever the reason, I'm going to leave all these things, but he still doesn't have any mind kind of a connection or like heart kind of a connection with anybody, but still maintains this physical relationship. So would you be okay with it?
No, no. I said a mistake is okay. A mistake is okay, but if you're doing it intentionally, you're just taking me for granted. It can happen. I'm not saying if you're intentionally making it happen, that's different.
Yes.
A mistake is different. Intentionally doing it is different. Like you are inviting this girl to your apartment to do something, that is intention, that is planning, that is strategy of doing something that is not respecting your partner. I'm saying if he if he was just flirting and he didn't meet all these girls, I mean, obviously I gave him another chance because I genuinely thought he would change. So once is fine, but if you keep doing it, you're just taking it's the same thing. You don't respect your partner. You lack integrity. You are taking her or him for granted, and that's not okay. That is not okay.
Okay. I mean, I just wanted to ask the question because there are a lot of words came in like open relationship and yeah, physical relationship can happen. So I just wanted to show some and have some light shed on that to show your perspective of it. Like what exactly was your thought at that point of time? And with the maturity that you have today with whatever you have gone through, what is that exactly that is in your mind? I just wanted to portray that part. So yeah, keep going. Like what happened after it?
Yes. So, I mean, to top all of that, I mean, there were some other crazy things. So he would, I'm the kind of person who's like, I'm an old soul. I like to read, write, and do like boring things. And he had this tendency of following all these Instagram models. I'm not saying like Gigi Hadid or like Kendall Jenner. These just women who are very, provocative, and they have an image, and and there's nothing wrong with it. You do you, boo. But the thing is, funny thing is, I would wake up every morning and I used to see all these pictures on Instagram, and I don't have that kind of circle like people who, and I used to wonder, why am I seeing all these women on my feed? Who is doing? Who is? I mean, how is this algorithm working? Because I would have like puppy videos and quotes and everything. My circle is like me, my kind of people. So it was kind of weird to wake up and see all these women. And I would go and check their profile, followed by XYZ, liked by XYZ. And I was like, oh my God. So I met this man thinking he's mature, educated, knowledgeable, in a big, huge position for an institution. And it was like waking up every morning and walking into a teenager's bedroom. And
Nicely put.
I mean, like, what was going on? And I'm very small and petite, and I would look at these women, and I would just look at myself in the mirror, and I would feel like, oh, I'm not like that. So maybe he's just not attracted to me.
Mm.
And to top everything off, he once asked me, "Hey, babe, if I give you $10,000, what are you gonna change about yourself?" And I mean, I was not even prepared for a question like that. I mean, what do you mean? I don't want to change anything about me. And when I said something like that, and he just laughed, he just
Mm.
laughed it off. And I said, "Oh, I'm perfect. I don't think I need to change anything." You know, his reaction was just like, he scoffed, like, really, like that. And
Mm.
I can't tell you what that does to a woman. You would know.
I know.
Women will, yeah, they would know what that would do to a woman. And it was to an extent where I was just so insecure, and I wanted to actually get plastic surgery. And I remember this was something I discussed with my mother because I was going through a very tough time. I mean, I remember for 2 months I didn't get out of my apartment. I was just crying every day. And my mom said the most beautiful thing to me when I said, I think I should get plastic surgery. And my mom was like, hey, if you change your body, he's probably just going to like you a little more, but will you be able to love yourself after that?
Right.
And that was the time I was like, no, this is too much now. This
Mm.
is something I can't take.
Mm.
So our last visit was in Oman,
Mm.
and it was absolutely in the end. And I was at a I was busy. I was working, and it was kind of like self-realization, self-actualization. We have this mutual friend, and I remember I was just we had this girls' evening out or something, and she's this incredible human being. She's doing such great work, and she had recently found love, and she was just sharing with me her experience that, oh, this man just makes me feel like,
Mm.
his queen, and he calls me every night. And she just wanted to know how things were between me and him. And I wanted to tell her the truth, but I didn't. But when I saw him, when I used to, there was a time towards the end, I just couldn't bear looking at his face, because it made me feel like nothing. It made me feel like I had no self respect, that I chose this man over myself,
Mm.
because I would judge myself. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and judging myself in front of the mirror. And this man is causing all of that. And I'm staying with him. How am I going to, what kind of example am I setting?
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
what am I doing with myself? So when she shared her story that, oh, this man makes me feel like the most amazing girl in the world, I was like, and when she asked me how things are between us, I just said like, oh, things are great, things were not easy, but we are working on it. And lied. And I immediately felt guilty about lying, because I felt like I just don't respect myself enough. And that was the time I realized, okay, I need to break up with this man. But I broke up with him. Then the interesting things, oh well, it's not the end of the story. That happened. I come back, and after a week, um, he was also traveling. He was in Malaysia, and we were still kind of texting, because I obviously cared for this man. I loved him, cared for him. But I called him one day, and I was like, hey, you know what? If we keep doing this, if I keep loving you, I will never be able to love myself. You know that? So that was it. After a week, he texts me. I don't know what happened, but my life is empty without you. I miss you, this, that. And I was like, you don't know what happened. I mean, I explained in paragraphs and letters what happened, but you still don't know what happened. So I sent him another big paragraph. What happened? Like this is the result of the consequences, the things that you put me through. And he was like, read, understood. That's it. No reply. That happened. After a month, he starts stalking me on Instagram. He starts seeing my stories, and I'm like, okay, what's going on now? And I asked him like, what's up? And he was like, oh, nothing. I hope everything is okay and you're doing well. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, everything is good. What are you doing? It was during Christmas time last year. I mean, end of the year, and he was in Colombia, and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just traveling, and I'm here in Colombia." And I'm like, and then I was like, I checked his Instagram, and he was posting, and I'm like, "Oh, that you're having a great time, so I hope you're doing well." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, it's all good, but I'm not having a great time. I'm thinking about you all the time. You're on my mind all the time."
Hmm.
And yeah, so fortunately at that time, one of my friends visited, and he's also from Colombia. I don't want to get into the whole
Sure.
details of it, but we found out that he was with a woman the whole time in
But still
Colombia,
missing you there.
and still missing me and thinking about me all the time, and I was on his mind all the time. And this woman, he met, I think, about 3 4 days we broke up on dating.
It's not even a long time. It's just 4 days. Okay.
Just 4 days after we broke up, he planned to go to Colombia. He met this woman. He's had a wonderful time, but texted me, "I love you, I miss you, and you're always on my mind." So, I
Mm.
mean, what can you do? You know, when you see that this man has no respect for you, no respect for you, I could do with anything. You know, if he was just honest, but this man just had no respect for me, for his partner. So you be with, and I sent him a very nasty text. I was just gave him a piece of my mind, but it felt so good because it was like 15 months worth of frustration. So yeah, done with
When
that.
you found out that he's cheating on you in Colombia but still texting, when did you exactly find it out? Like, do you know when he was already there, or like, do you know after a little bit of time?
After when he was in Colombia. No, not that. When he was in Colombia, he was texting me the whole time. But that was even okay. We were not even together. I mean, he could do anything he wanted to do. The fact that he lied to me, he went somewhere and he made a fool out of me by saying I went there with a big group of people when he went there with a woman. I mean, that's the kind of thing that bothers me. You know, what do you think of me? Like, I'm an idiot? Like, I love you. I'm giving you chances after chances, and I'm trying to do the best. I'm trying to be by your side. But man, you are not making this easy for me, are you? So I found out after he left Colombia, not when he was there. It was, yeah, after I think it was beginning of 2020 in January. I think a couple of days in January, after I think first week of January, I found out.
Did
That was
you ever ask him, even after knowing it in specifics, like he was with a woman or like any of it? Did you ever ask him, like, I know that you never?
I told him. So the text that I sent him, I was like, this is a lie. I don't have any respect for you, and I don't want to. I didn't just want to hear anything. So I sent him that text. I blocked him, and that was it. And that is the best thing to do with narcissists. You want to cut off all communication. The worst thing I did was to keep communicating with him. You know, after the breakup when we were talking, that was the worst thing I did. You don't do that with narcissists. You don't keep feeding them with empathy because they're just seeking that out of you. Oh, this girl still feels for me, so I can still manipulate her because she seems to be, still in love with me. I was, and I'm not lying. I definitely was in love with that man. But man, he didn't make it easy for me to love him. So had to let that go.
So how do you feel right now from having this experience to yourself? What made you, when you mentioned, I remember that you wanted to help other women in this kind of situations. So I believe when we were talking, you also mentioned like the first time when you spoke to your life coach about what happened, showing those texts, she also mentioned, or she also raised a red flag. What was that conversation all about?
Yeah. So the thing is, when I broke up with him, I was in a very in a state of surprise. I mean, I wasn't really shocked because I always kind of knew that he was this person, but just like seeing that right in front of my eyes, that this man is lying to you,
Hmm.
that was absolutely shocking and kind of broke me. So when I decided to get a life coach, I was just going through a very difficult time, like mentally, relationship
Is
wise.
that like a
Um,
therapy?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Is that like I mean, going to a life coach, is that like a therapy sessions or?
It's not exactly like I do have a therapist. My therapist actually recommended my life coach to me, but it's different. It's life coach is more like she gave me insights of what happened because I was in a confused state.
Hmm.
Like did this man really love me?
Hmm.
I mean, what was that? It was not. It was 15 months. It was not like 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. It was 15 months, and
Tell you
we
one secret, it took 15 years for me. So yeah, I don't blame you. I know what it is.
it's pain. It was painful for me because we did have some really good moments, and I still cherish those moments, those memories. Because I traveled to Japan, one of my favorite countries, with him. I was there with him, even though it was not a very good experience at first. But I mean, I I was so confused, and I was left like um, I didn't know what happened. So my life coach kind of gave me the insight of what exactly happened. She gave me this idea: this man seems to be like he's probably a narcissist because he gaslighted you. He never made you feel good about yourself. He would always. He's just not the kind of person who would, kind of lift you up
Hmm.
in a way. I mean, he would, but was it really genuine? Because I mean, him keeping me a secret was a huge red flag,
Hmm.
huge red flag for everyone. And yeah, she just gave me insights of what exactly happened because I was so confused, and she made me understand this is what they do. This is what they're capable of doing. Highly manipulative people. So we absolutely I understand why you're going through this. What happened thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So after knowing all these facts, like how you are empowering other women with this kind of a message that we are giving, and you mentioned that it is important to you. Have you ever spoken about, may not be your story, like listening to the other people's story and helped them, and how did that exactly like resonate with them and help them? Do you have any of
Yeah.
that experience?
Yes. I did a couple of really powerful. I had a couple of really powerful conversations with women, also with men. This is not exactly gender specific. It can happen to anyone. Anyone can be narcissistic, and I think I had the psychological abuse of it, but many women actually go through physical abuse as well. These people can also be physically abusive, and that's I mean, physical scarring is something that is hard to. I mean, both psychological and physical, both types of pain is very difficult to kind of get through and get over. But I think I found out, and I'm blessed that I found out early. But some women are just stuck because they're married to these people, they have kids, there are other complications which I've learned. I'm glad that this ended early, and this ended, not so
Yeah,
destructive
yeah.
for me.
Hmm.
I get texts from women that, you were single people can leave, but married people just stay and endure this pain because we feel like we don't have a choice. But I just want to say you do have a choice. It's difficult to walk away. I mean, you've done it. So you know it's difficult, but you do have a choice. You have to put yourself first, and you have to walk away from that. These people will not change, and these people will destroy your self-esteem to a point you won't even recognize yourself, and that's not healthy.
If you
So
are married, I can add a single point. I mean, a point to that is like if you are married, it will be like too many variables into the play. You have to take care, you feel like you have to take care of everybody's emotional stress and emotional trauma that you are responsible in giving to them. And if you have children, it will be like way too much. It is huge, actually. Nobody wants their children to go through that kind of a trauma at their children, like even at any point of time. They don't want to show that side to the children, saying like, hey, your mom or like your dad is this kind of a person. So yeah, so definitely there are a lot of variables for everybody to think on. But one thing I always can say, that and to your point is like, it is your life after all. If you are not standing up for it, nobody will and nobody can do it. Everybody can stare across you or like right with you to say like, yes, you have to do it. You are getting hurt. You are doing that. You are doing this. Everybody is saying like, yes, you, but that you needs to come within yourself. That
Yes,
this
exactly.
personality should be yours. Yeah.
Exactly. I agree because I do get texts from other women and they tell me this that it's so much more complicated when you're married. When it's and also some of these people, he was very different. He's not a very traditional narcissist because a lot of narcissists can keep their jobs. So some of these women have also said like, he was on the verge of being homeless because he didn't have a job, and I was holding everything. I was holding the household together. I was the main provider. So for me, I was so guilty to walk away from him because I knew he would be homeless if I walk away from him.
Oh, you mean the other person experience? I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
confused for a second. Like, yeah, I mean, okay.
No, no, but the man I dated, he was not a very traditional narcissist. He was a different kind of narcissist. But the other women said that yeah, there are definitely more complications when you're in a relationship for say 2 years, 3 years, more than 5 years. It's obviously more difficult. So I totally understand that. I think my biggest regret has been not walking out earlier. I stayed until it destroyed me. And I know it's very difficult to kind of judge people and read these signs where they can be, narcissist or anything. But if you always feel like you're walking on eggshells, this relationship is just not making you happy. I mean, that's a relationship is supposed to make you happy, and it's supposed to add to your existence. It's not supposed to make you feel any less of who you are. And if that's not happening, then I mean, he made me cry on my birthday. So I don't understand why and then he didn't even remember my birthday. So if these things are happening, I understand some people have bad memory, but I think if you're just not seeing effort from
Hmm.
this person, and they're not going to change, you can leave your emotions behind. You can leave just you know everything, all the love that you have, and you might have a lot of love. I loved this man, but just walk away. My biggest regret will always be I wanted to walk away in Japan, but I believed in him and I wanted to give him a second chance, and that seems to me like the biggest mistake. I don't want anyone else to make that mistake because this is going to leave you absolutely devastated. So walk away. Um, it's not, you can't save anyone. I understand if you want to be there for this person, but you can't save anyone. You can only save yourself. Save yourself, and please just walk away.
Okay, thank you for tuning in, and you can find me on all the socials at Smitha Gunturi and the show notes for any resources mentioned. See you next week. Take care.